Hi, I'm Krista Gibson, and this is Growing Older and Wiser. I'm going to talk about a topic that much has been written about, whole books have been written about it, and it's one of those subjects that can be somewhat difficult to chew on or to work with, and that is the subject of forgiveness. There is so much clouded thinking about this forgiveness thing. A lot of people think when we talk about forgiving that we're saying somebody didn't do anything wrong, we weren't really damaged, everything is okay. And when it comes to ourselves forgiving, well, forget that. I'm never going to forgive myself for blah, blah, blah. Well, here's the deal. Forgiving, and again, I'm probably going to say things you already know, but it always helps to hear them again. And maybe this is the first time you're going to be considering some of these ideas. Forgiving means to give up, to let go of, to move on. That's what forgiving means. So let's look at the issue of childhood abuse. Let's say that as a child you were abused, all the way from emotional abuse to physical abuse to horrible things being done to you. Forgiving the abuser or the circumstance or what happened has absolutely nothing to do with that person or persons being responsible for what was done to you. If you forgive them, which means you give it up, you let go of it, and let yourself be free of it, you are not in any way letting them go off the hook, get off the hook. You're not in any way saying they aren't responsible for what they did. And that responsibility could even be legal, depending on what they did, certainly emotional, certainly spiritual. So forgiveness has to do with letting it go. Why do you want to let it go? Don't you want to beat them up? Don't you want to spend the rest of your life hating them and being miserable? Well, go right ahead if that's what you want to do. But if you want to live a happy, confident, wonderful life, a part of that is letting go and forgiving the various things from your past. Now, what about forgiving yourself? I don't know anybody who wouldn't want to change some things in their life. Nobody, myself included. We can all look at our lives and go, God, I wish I hadn't have done that, or gee, I wish I had done that differently. Now, for some people, it can go all the way from really illegal things like dealing drugs or killing somebody, God forbid, but maybe, who am I to say, or all the way up to more innocent kinds of things like being judgmental of other people and that kind of thing. We are all guilty of something. The worst thing we can do is to continue beating ourselves up for whatever it is. And that's what most of us do. If we're not psychopaths and we do have a conscience, which sociopaths and psychopaths do not have, but if we're people who have a conscience, doing wrong things is going to catch up with us at some time or another where we really feel rotten about it. So the question I say to you is, what good does that do? What is that serving? Nothing. Nothing at all. The sooner you can work through whatever it is that you have done, quote unquote, wrong, the sooner you're free and can move forward in your life. Now, having said all of that, I'm just kind of tossing that out like it's so easy. Well, I know it's not easy. You can spend years forgiving your parents. You can spend years forgiving teachers or forgiving yourself. It is not necessarily an easy process. However, I think, and myself as an example, we can make it a lot more difficult than we have to. A lot of times we feel like we have to give ourselves 30 lashes, 60 lashes, whatever, figuratively, before we're allowed to move on. And some people engage in all kinds of destructive behaviors just because they feel guilty, where if they could just let it go, forgive themselves and move on, they wouldn't have to engage in the negative, destructive behavior. There are many programs available, there's books available, there's counselors, therapists, ministers, body workers. There are so many people out there in the world who could help you with forgiving. The first step is to be willing to do it. The first step is being willing to let yourself off the hook, being willing to let the people who have wronged you off the hook, and be willing to move on. That's the first step. Once you are truly rooted in that step, then I think you're going to find that the right people, system, technique, whatever it might be, will come along and will basically fall into your lap, and it'll be, hello, I'm here, I'm ready to help you. And then it's just a case of doing whatever that is. And yes, I know I'm minimizing it. Yes, I know that some people can take years in therapy or counseling, depending on the level of abuse, the level of harm that was done to somebody. So please hear me. I am not minimizing this in any way. However, I am saying we don't have to maximize it either. There is a middle point in there where we can say, I'm ready to let this go. I want to live my life free of this, whether it's myself or other people, society at large. Some people are damaged by society and society's opinions. Well, you got to give that up too. Go for freedom. Go for the freedom of not being tethered to other people's behavior, to society's misjudgments of you. All of those things, let it go and move on and feel that sense of freedom. There's a saying that said, angels can fly because they take themselves lightly. I think that's true of us too. We can fly emotionally and spiritually, creatively, when we take those tethers off, and then we are free. Think about that a bit. Think about, maybe is there anything still holding you back that you haven't forgiven in yourself or others? And take action. Do it so you can move on and you can live your elder years free, wise, joyfully, and lovingly. Talk to you next week.